And this is the piece that we're going to do today. I call it Mountain Cabins. Okay, and these were the stamps that were used. This one is the Stampscapes 221G Blooms Pressed Bridge. This one is the Stampscapes 254B Tall Grass, 247B Country House, 248A Cabin Small. This is the Nature Set 6 from the Nature Set 6. This one is from the Nature Set 3, this group of 3 right here. This small set of trees is from the Nature Set 15. And then I used the Art Impressions Small Grass from their foliage set. And let's begin. I wanted to try my Zig Clean Color real brush pens on Kromekote paper. So I did this particular piece, colored it mostly using the Zig Clean Color real brush pens. I also used some Stampin' Up ink, but for the most part I probably used this for coloring the flowers and the buildings and whatnot. And I have the 80 color set. Okay, we'll start by inking up the bridge and flowers. And I have a quarter sheet of Kromekote glossy paper here. And I'm just going to stamp it down here at the bottom. Give it good pressure. Okay, and I will clean it with my stamp chamois. Next I'm going to stamp the larger house, just in Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And I'm going to stamp that just above the bridge here. And clean it off. And I'm going to take the little house and I'm going to stamp it a little bit up and back. And then I'm going to give this a little while to dry. Okay, and I've cut some masks for these little houses. So I'll just mask those up. And I'm going to take some Stampin' Up. This is Old Olive. And I'm going to stamp up the line of trees. And I want to leave a little bit of a space above the bridge. So I'll just stamp it a little bit on the high side. The forest goes up a little bit around this middle house here. And we will give this a chance to dry. I'm going to take a paper towel here and just kind of dab it off. It's kind of globby on these trees over here, the second stamp, for some reason. And then I'm going to remove the masks. Okay. And then I'm going to use some wild wasabi. And I am going to stamp some filler grass along the side. I'm going to leave some spaces because I'm going to add in another color. And I'm going to take just a Post-it note here. This doesn't have the sticky portion on it, but I basically just want to protect the portion that I stamped underneath while I stamp the grass. Okay. Now I'm going to use some Stampin' Up! Crumb Cake. I'm going to clean off my stamp, and then I'm going to fill up the blank spaces here with the crumb cake. Okay, and then I will give this a little bit of a chance to dry. Okay, now I'm going to take the Stampin' Up! Old Olive again, and I'm going to take these trees and I'm going to stamp them into the foreground. So I'm going to just use the left-hand tree to stamp over on this side. And then I'll clean it off. And then I will use the double tree and I will stamp this over on the other side. Then I'm going to take the two little trees and just kind of fill in some spaces here in the background. Maybe just the tip of them. And I'll stamp some right here. Okay. And now I want to start coloring in these flowers here. And I'm going to use some Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens. I am going to use the number 50 yellow and the number 52 bright yellow. And I'm just going to randomly color different flowers with a different color. Okay, now I'm going to take a Zig deep green. This is number 44. And I'm just going to add some green into the dark region here. Okay, now for the bridge portion, I'm going to use number 75, Brick Beige. And I'm just going to color in the darkest region here. Then I'm going to take my paintbrush, I'm going to squeeze it off so there isn't much water on here. And I'm just going to spread this out onto the road, or onto the logs here. And I will do the same on the other side. And I'll also put some on my palette. And I'll just put it on directly from the palette. Okay, now I'm also going to use some number 68 deep brown. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of the number 44 deep green. Okay, I'm going to take some of the deep brown, number 68, and I'm just going to color up these trunks. Okay, now I'm going to use my Tim Holtz blending brush to brush some blue into the sky. I'm going to use two colors, Stampin Up Marina Mist and Pacific Point. Okay, now I'll use some Stampin' Up Wild Wasabi. To brush some color into the grass. Okay. Now I'm going to take my Small Art Impressions grass stamp, and I'm going to continue with the Wild Wasabi. And I am just going to stamp in some additional grass, especially to ground these trees. And when I stamp this, I do it in a walking motion. So I walk it in a row like this. I don't just stamp and stamp. I do it in a walking motion to make it more natural looking. Okay, for the little cottages up here, the cabins, I'm going to use my Zig Clean color brushes again, and number 75 and number 68. So number 75 is the lighter color, and so I will just kind of do a base of this lighter color. And then the darker color is going to be the shadows. So where it's shadowy, we'll do the darker color. And I'll come back in with my lighter again and kind of blend it out. Okay, and then I'm going to use the darker one for the door here, and so darken that door a little bit more, give it a little more definition. And also the steps here. And the posts. Okay, and then the same over here for this one. Okay, and for the door on the back house here, I'm going to use number 69 blush and number 230 pale rose. So I will start with the lighter color, and then I will use the darker color in the shadow areas. And then I'll come back and blend in with the lighter color. And I think maybe back here on this one too, I'm also going to use these colors on the door. Although this door is so dark, you probably wouldn't be able to see it, but we'll put them on anyway. Okay, and for the windows in the cabin, I am going to use number 50 yellow and number 52 bright yellow. So I'll start with the number 50, it's the lighter color yellow, and I will just color in these windows. Then to add a slightly orange tint to the windows, I'm going to use number 52. And so I'll put the number 52 kind of on the bottom and the top of the windows so that the brightest yellow is in the middle. Okay. Okay, I want to darken the trim around the windows and the doors. So I'm going to use my number 68 deep brown. Okay, for the roofs of the cabin, I'm going to use number 93 green gray and number 98 pale dawn gray. And the lighter color is the number 98. So I'll start with it. And I will just put down the initial coat with the lighter color. Then in the shadows, I'll just put in the darker color. And then we'll do the same over on the smaller cabin. And then just give it some definition with the darker color. And over here, let's see if we can blend this a bit. This is with the lighter color. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to take some number 44, deep green, and I want to darken over here a little bit. So I'm just going to put some of the darker one on there, and I'll take my paintbrush, squeeze off the excess water, and then I'll just kind of blend this in as well as I can. Okay. Okay, I'm going to take some of the number 98 Pale Dawn Gray, and I'm just going to kind of fill in any white areas down here where the flowers are. Okay, and I'm going to take my Marvy Le Plume number 1 black. I'm going to take the fine tip, and I'm going to okay, and then I'm going to sign and date it. And then I'll go and spray it with my protective sealant, and we'll come back and show you the finished product. And this is the final product after it's been sprayed with the fixatant on it.